You could utilize it for asking regulatory questions. A lot of these language models have been trained on whatever is in the public domain. And so if there is regulatory information on a state by state basis, presumably those oil and gas or energy commissions along those states have different procedures and rules that they've published. More often than not, you can ask about those specific rules and get some additional insight to be able to understand the regulatory aspect. Over decades of time, obviously, there have been countless blogs, articles, commentary that's been written about how to run title or how to negotiate leases. And these models, even without any customized training to it, do a very good job of being able to answer some questions or be able to provide some insights for it. Even in areas where I feel like I'm a pretty big expert on, I still consult with a large language model oftentimes because it helps me think about it in a perspective that I hadn't considered before. It kind of sounds weird to say that, this machine is creative, but there's so many various perspectives and points of view that is digested over time that you can really get some outside the box thinking. In areas where I don't feel like I'm an expert, then I can consult an LLM and try and get some additional information for it. There is a lot of skepticism in terms of to the accuracy of that information, and that skepticism is healthy, and it should be realized and it should be understood. But because we have so many different models that we can utilize, and most of them are free, at least to some capacity, kind of my rule of thumb is that if it's something I feel really confident on, I might just use one that I'm conversing with to get some creative ideas. If it's something that I'm not sure on, I'll pose the exact same question to at least 2, 3, maybe 4 different models to see how consistent the answer gets back. And if they're all giving me consistent answers back, then I feel like that the information I'm getting is spot on, that can be utilized.
Yeah. It's the good thing to compare it, and he nailed it as far as just getting a basic understanding of, hey, what's different in this state, or given my situation, how's the law interpreted in this state? The AUPL's publication of oil and gas law comparison by state. It is a tool that every field landman should have. Really, every in-house landman should have it too. It's a great resource that kind of sets forth, 10 or 20 standard things that you deal with as a landman doing, from a regulatory and legal standpoint. And I don't know the exact count of 20 sounds about right, but it kind of gives you the nuance from state to state. Well, with the language model, you can ask those same questions. How is life estate and remainder been handled in Mississippi compared to Texas? Those types of questions that are very basic, kind of black and white, of matter of law, or, it's a good resource there. Whereas you don't have to go and read a whole publication to try to find the jewel that you're looking for to answer the question you had. I know a lot of lawyers, very much kind of against that, but it's, it gives you the basics and understanding, when it comes to case law interpretation and nuance as to, hey, this is an opinion, a case that was ruled upon, but, hey, this is at the Supreme Court now, so you might not want to, lean on it too heavily. That's where your legal counsel is very important. And you always want to caution people to make sure that they're not acting purely off of that. But God, it just accelerates you. Again, efficiency is the key. It just makes you that much more efficient.
Yeah. And if there's information that is in the public domain, meaning that you can look online, Google it, whatever, and you can get full information on it that's not behind a paywall or is like a subscribe type deal, then that information is probably going to be inside of these models. So court case opinions, absolutely, those are going to be inside these models, and it's perfectly natural and a good idea that if you're hearing the energy community talk about some type of recent case, ask the model, give me a summary about this case that people are talking about. How is this case going to be applicable to my land profession? Or I work in this state. Is that court case going to have applicability to the state that I'm working in? A lot of states will publish their title standards in terms of, this is how the different nuances in terms of how title is supposed to be utilized within the state. You already mentioned rules of succession. Those are popular, very well published things that are available. So all those people should have a reasonable amount of confidence of being able to ask about. And then a lot of these models have the ability to upload files to them, whether they be PDFs, pictures, etc. And my experimentation of uploading, an oil and gas lease or some other type of oil and gas contract, it's very, very good at reading it and being able to pick stuff out. Similar to what the thought trace or grouper or some of those other assets that were in the past. Obviously, those have been heavily invested in time and capital and being able to provide something as accurate as possible. But for a starting place, Microsoft has Copilot as their LLM. Their Edge browser has Copilot built directly into it, and so if you have Microsoft Edge set up as your PDF viewer and you open up a PDF, there's a little button at the top that says Ask Copilot, and you can click on it and you can start asking questions about that PDF right there in your browser and getting some pretty intelligent answers and responses from it.